Never, always, maybe, name.
Hip hop, don't stop. 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 Hip hop, don't stop.
Yes, y'all, and welcome to today's episode of Hip Hop.
And it don't stop.
I am your host, Never Always Maybe name. And today's topic we will be going over today is law enforcement. Now, before we get into that, I want to thank y'all for being here. And to show my appreciation, y'all know what's up. Y'all know what's next. This is where we show love before we get started to the Hip Hop and It Don't Stop Beauty of the Week.
Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week. Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week. Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week. Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week.
And that was this week's Hip Hop and It Don't Stop Beauty of the Week. Y'all ready to get into this topic? Let's get into it. Now, today's topic, law enforcement. Okay, first of all, and I say first of all, and I say that with emphasis, okay? First of all, when you interact with law enforcement and they say to you, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Okay? And then the next thing they ask you is, okay, what happened? And you just start telling them, listen, no, because she stabbed me and then I shot her. And no, you have to be quiet. You have the right to remain silent. Use it, okay? Like, the only time you should be speaking is when you're face to face with your attorney. After your rights are read to you, you should not say another word. Nothing. It doesn't matter if you're 100% innocent. You shouldn't be explaining, listen, I did this and I did that and they did this and no. Silence. Because anything you say can be misconstrued. Okay? You have to stay silent until you speak to your lawyer. When you are placed in handcuffs, that officer has a job to do. Their job is to get a conviction. They are not there listening to you tell your side of the story to defend you. They are listening to your side of the story as evidence, okay? You have to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. Y'all got to pardon me. I have a bit of a cold. But the show must go on, okay? This is important. It is imperative that I get this information to you, okay? Now, with that said, okay, the interaction between the civilian and the civil servant, which is law enforcement, the officer, detective, sergeant, whatever their title is or their rank is, should be conducted as smooth as possible. So let me offer a bit of insight to assist in this process and its smooth transition. Let's say you get pulled over. Okay, you're driving and then a car behind you, they throw the lights on, all right? You have to pull over. Okay, now keep in mind that as a civilian, you may be being approached by a person, a human being. Let's keep this in mind. This is a human being capable of error, human emotions, everything. They just happen to be wearing a policeman's uniform. But this is a human being, okay? This person who pulled you over may have had to deal with a situation where they went to an apartment earlier that day and someone may have been abusing their child. They may have done something as egregious as burning them with an iron, burning their child with an iron, like all types of things that these police officers have to deal with that we in a civil society may never have to face. They're on the front line, faced with the most ugly situations, okay? And they're just human beings, okay? So it would be advantageous to both parties to show some compassion and be considerate in their process of performing their duty, which is to enforce the law. So remain calm, keep patient, try to show some patience, okay? This person is just doing their job, all right? That's the civil side of it. That's our side of it. Now, as far as the officer, what you need to realize as an officer, you don't know what this person is going through. You pulled them over because maybe they were driving a little faster than the limit, but they may be dealing with the loss of a family member. Maybe they have a sick child. We don't know what this person is going through. These are two human beings interacting in a situation where the law may have been violated. It's one person's job to abide by the law, and it's one person's job to enforce the law. But the interaction is present. It should be conducted as smoothly as possible. Okay? Now, some people may have feelings where they have these thoughts and these prejudgments about law enforcement. But you can't front. When let's say you're somewhere like maybe a mall or a plaza or a restaurant and you see law enforcement there, you feel a little bit safer. If you're a drug dealer or any type of criminal and you see an enemy of yours and you know law enforcement is present, you feel a little bit safer because you know there's a lower risk of your enemy attacking you in that moment. So law enforcement should be appreciated publicly. And we shouldn't have these prejudices against law enforcement because we may have a few bad apples. Okay, I'm sure the intent of every law enforcement officer is to do the right thing. We need to assist them in the performance of their duties by playing our part. Okay? And if you are a law enforcement officer, you took an oath. You need to be professional. You need to be respectful and show courtesy to that civilian. Because not only do they pay your salary, because you are a public servant. You serve the public. You are there to serve. It is a crime to violate someone's rights. See, you're straddling the fence as a law enforcement officer when you violate someone's rights. If you knowingly violate someone's rights, you are a criminal. You're worse than a criminal because you're playing both sides. So once you take that oath to serve and to protect, you shouldn't be in a situation where you're overly aggressive and unnecessarily confrontational. You need to look to your training and not internalize the present situation in the performance of you carrying out your duty. The public is dependent upon you to be the standard. Okay? So you're actually held to a higher standard wearing that badge. So keep that in mind. Once you decided, don't forget the purpose and the cause of you deciding to become a police officer. It is to protect, not incite or provoke or invoke violence. You're there to either prevent it or minimize it, even diminish it. That is your role as law enforcement. Okay? To enforce the laws, not put your personal feelings or emotions into the situation to where it causes violence to occur. Okay? Or a violation of someone's rights. Courtesy, professionalism, and respect. You are the standard, or at least you're supposed to be. Keep that in mind. And the public needs to keep in mind that this officer, you also need not internalize this officer pulling you over. He has a job to do. You actually have a job to do as well, and it's to be a civilian in society. So it should be nothing for you to comply. We need to make the transition smooth, okay? I've been in situations where, law enforcement violated my rights. But I've also been in situations where law enforcement actually gave me a break. Like one time, I may have been going a little bit faster than I was supposed to on the highway. And I explained to him I wasn't aware of how fast I was going, and could he please not give me a ticket because I drive trucks for a living and I have to keep my license clean. He ran my license and everything. He saw my license was clean. So he gave me a break. He said, I pulled you, so I have to write you. And he gave me an equipment failure ticket. It doesn't put any points on your license. It's basically like if you have a broken light, a broken tail light or something like that. And I didn't have a broken tail light, but he cut me a break. And I appreciate that. So we can't be prejudiced against law enforcement. Each person is just a human being, capable of error. But like I said, don't let one bad apple spoil a whole bunch. And when we're out there, we should be making it easier for them to perform their duties. As long as we're not living a life of crime, hey, what's so hard about pulling over, putting your hands on the wheel, showing them your license, giving them your license, everything, and getting your ticket, and then just keeping it moving? Be respectful. If they want you to take one of those tests and you being belligerent and all this, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. And you really look like a clown, especially if you got handcuffs on already and you slick talking, you look like a clown. You're already in handcuffs. That's unnecessary. You have to face due process now that you're in handcuffs. So what are you acting up for? Basically, what I'm saying is I appreciate law enforcement, and so do you, whether you say it or not. And law enforcement needs to appreciate the public because it's how you feed your family. So we just need to appreciate each other. And I'll end it by saying, thank you for your service. And to you bad apples, you're really making it hard for the good ones. Hope you're proud of yourself that you're making it hard for the people who took that oath and stand by it. You're scum. You need to just go be a full-fledged criminal if that's the life you want to live. And I think I can end it right there. And now,
for the name tag. Y'all know what a name tag is. Never always maybe, eh? Thoughts and guidance. And today's name tag is, you are given only 2 choices in life. Okay? You are only given 2 choices in life. Not 1, not 3. 2 choices. Okay? Your first choice, make things better. Your second choice, make things worse. Depending on your very next move, you just made your choice. You are given only 2 choices in life. And that's today's name tag.
okay, y'all, we have now reached the end of this week's episode of Hip Hop and It Don't Stop Law Enforcement. Tune in next week where we will be talking about why are women so stupid. And be sure to remember, this is why we do what we do. And when we do what we do it for hip hop.
And it don't stop.
Peace.
Woke up on the couch in my man's crib, a regular day. I ain't never drinking again, that's what we always say. 37 missed calls, I know my wife gon' stab me. She ain't trying to hear me tell her how that Duce had me. But hold up, 11 missed calls was from the homie. And that was weird, yeah, felt something strange in my bones, G. I was alarmed, what was the reason for the calls? I sobered up immediately and wasn't relaxed at all. Then I heard a knock at the door, someone in a panic. I answered it and it was Kai's, blood on his shirt, he was frantic, trying to make sure he was alright. I couldn't calm him at all, he kept saying we was by ourselves. Where the fuck was y'all? And started swinging on me, NJ, and caught me in my head. I grabbed him, asked him what's wrong. He said Richie is dead. I called y'all 11 times and no answer. The cops pulled us out the car and told us put our hands up. But Richie, he dropped his gun, then he tried to pick it up. I told him chill before I could finish. 12 lit him up. Hold on, my phone rang. It was my girl, she was crying, talking about how she tired of 12 and our young blacks dying. She ain't even addressed me spending the night out. She was just glad I was alive, cause all night she had doubt. I told her, I love you baby and I'ma call right back. And I wasn't doing no funny shit, it's not like that. She said, baby, I love you too, now go and talk to your friends. It's okay, find out what's going on, then check back in. I turned around to explain to Kaz, tell him I was sorry, but he was gone. Jay gone too, what's going on? I looked down, noticed the laptop was open and saw dudes making jokes about Richie, kicking his candles on the floor. I ran out the door to find Jay and Kaz. I know what's on their mind, gotta catch them before it happens. And I'm running out of time. The crowd in front of Richie's building when I pulled up was thick as fuck. I hopped out, I couldn't park, I was stuck. Everybody upset, Richie's mom's crying. Girls screaming, no justice, no peace was the anthem in the streets. I found Kaz, I found Jay and the rest of the crew flipping, pistol gripping, tripping, 30 extended clipping. Anybody slipping, pandemonium. It was bedlam, emotions running wild, and it was nothing that I could tell him. Richie's brother Kareem was staring off into space, holding a slug out for blood. It was written all on his face. Police sirens was heard from a couple of blocks away. Reem raised his head, first words he said, "Not today." Stood up off of the stoop, I told him don't trip. He looked me in my eyes, chambered his bullet. Now it's a fully loaded clip. The cops screaming through their speakers told us to clear the street. The crowd screaming all kind of shit like fuck the police. 2 cop cars turned to 4, 4 cop cars turned to 7. The last count I got from 12's cars was 11. Riot gear and bulletproof shields to battle civilians. Richie's mother pushed one of the cops and said, "Y'all do all the killing." He pushed her back and she fell on the ground. Reem rushed over to pick his mother up. Her arm had blood running down. Reem rushed the cop, yoked him up, then pulled out his gun. His mother screaming out shrill screams, "No, put it down, son." Now the cops focused on Kareem but wouldn't dare shoot out of fear of accidentally shooting their own troop. The crowd screaming out, "Shoot him." Cops screaming, "Put it down." Reem got the gun to the cop's head.
Put it down.